Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another experiment where today we look at those players that could have played for Suriname and what would happen if they did play for them. Now, Suriname have a weird kind of policy with their players, not allowing players who weren't only Surinamese to play for them. There's something like that. If anyone knows more details, let me know, and that's why a lot of these big players haven't played for them. But anyway, let's take a look at the players that we've got in this short list of players who, it's quite the list, I have to say. So first up, we've got the big man, the main man, probably the biggest name on the list, absolutely, is Virgil Van Dyke. Obviously Dutch in real life, but playing for Suriname in this. We've got Georginio Wijnaldum as well, who moved to PSG in the summer. Steven Bergwijn of Tottenham. We've got Justin Cloyver as well, who's moved over. His father actually played in a tribute match for Suriname, so he has followed in his father's footsteps to somewhat. Doniel Malen, who's made that move to Dortmund. Quincy Promes, who's a very, very good winger. Ryan Gravenberch, who's a young midfielder for Ajax. Certainly a player that could be long-term. You got Gairano Kirk as well. Calvin Stengs, an attacking player there. Javiro Dilarussen, another younger player to be playing for them. Owen Wijnaldal, please let me know in the comments because I do not know how to pronounce half these names. And then we've also got Wijnaldum's brother. Just thought it'd be interesting to throw him in there, see if he can get as many caps as his brother for the Surinamese team. But there you go. So they're the players. We can take a look at Suriname themselves. So they are 141st in the rankings, so they're right down here. They're in the marks of they're level with Solomon Islands. They're above Myanmar and Afghanistan and Botswana, just behind Tanzania and St. Kitts and Nevis. Looks like they're also tied with Comoros as well, from the African nations. They're around the level of St. Kitts and Nevis and maybe Nicaragua. They're the other North American teams to really cause them issues. But below that, you've got the likes of Dominican Republic and Grenada. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. It's a hell of a players, but we'll jump ahead, take a look at how they're getting on and what kind of team they're playing and go from there. Okay, here we are then. So they are actually 81st now. So they've shot up the rankings as kind of expected. Let's take a look where they're at. So they're above the likes of El Salvador, Zambia, Benin, around Georgia, Congo and Honduras, and Ecuador's not far above them as well, closing in on the likes of Canada, Albania, Saudi Arabia as well. So, I mean, that's not bad. They're doing well. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept going for at least for a couple more years, rising up the rankings. So let's take a look at the schedule, how they've performed over the year or so. So we saw there's some friendlies there that were some good wins for them. We can see in the World Cup qualifying, they absolutely smashed things. They certainly got through to the next third round. In the CONCACAF Cup, they got through to the semi-finals, which ain't bad going, considering I'm sure they wouldn't have normally. Honduras, Jamaica and French Guiana was in their group. They managed to beat two of those teams, beating Canada 1-0 in that game. Let's take a look at their lineup. So they've got Van Dyke, Wijndal, Promes, Bergwijn, Gravenberch, Wijnaldum, they're all in there as you'd expect, and they got the win, which is very, very cool indeed. Unfortunately, they did lose to Curaçao on penalties after a 2-2 draw in extra time. So interesting to see Ryan Gravenberch getting on the score sheet there. If we go ahead one more, you can see they're still in the World Cup qualifying. So we'll have to jump ahead, take a look at how they get on there. But yeah, so their formation seems to change a little bit, but they seem to be playing a bit more, well, trying to get the most out of the players they've got. So they've got the likes of Quincy Promes playing right back, and Wijndal playing left with Van Dyke at centre-half. Wijnaldum and Gravenberch behind Calvin Stengs, then Malen and Bergwijn up top. It makes sense to try and get as many of those players in as possible. You've also got Justin Cloyver on the bench as well. So, I mean, he can certainly come on and make a difference. And even Charon Cherry, who's played for QPR, he's not that bad, I have to say. Even at 33, he's not bad for Suriname. So Interesting. Right, let's jump ahead again, see if they can go any further. We'll jump ahead past this and see where we get to. Wow, okay then. So 46th in the world rankings. Very, very impressive. Above the likes of Australia, Paraguay, Czech Republic, Republic of Ireland, and very close to the Ukraine, Turkey, Greece, Romania, Russia. So they're really getting into the area of looking very, very good. They're still not quite the best team in North America. There's still a few above them, like Mexico. You've got also the United States and Jamaica as well. So they're not far off. I reckon they could reel them in sooner or later. Let's take a look at the competition. So we saw that they were in the World Cup qualifying. They did play in the CONCACAF Nations League, which was very good. They did brilliantly in that, as expected, due to their lower ranking. But you can see here that they actually got through to the World Cup second round, losing 2-0 to Spain, which is a shame. But they beat Argentina in the group stage. Wow. You got the likes of Messi, Martinez, Dybala, Tagliafico. It's an impressive Argentina side, and they managed to beat them, playing that 4-3-1-2 that we saw. That is pretty much the lineup, although it looks like Jorginho Wijnaldum was playing centre-back. I guess he's maybe learned how to play there, whether that's for just the national team or for PSG as well. He's started to play centre-half with Van Dyke for Suriname, so interesting. Not what I'd normally use him for, but fair play. If it works, it works. We'll jump ahead again in a minute and take a look at some more. We can see that they're sticking with that 4-3-1-2, making the most out of those players. Looks like they don't play him there all the time, but even Bergwijn's dropped slightly back as well. So, I mean, this is quite crazy, really. They're really trying to force these players in to get the most out of their squad that they've got and those players they've got, which, again, understandable. You would if you could, with the likes of Virgil Van Dyke, certainly. But let's take a look at how many appearances they've made. Virgil made 36 appearances, scoring 2 goals for them. You got Jorginho, 40 caps, 6 goals. You'd expect a few more. Justin Cloyver, 24 and 11 goals. That's not a bad turnaround, to be fair. Quincy Promes, who's been playing at right back a lot for them. 37 caps, 3 goals. Gravenberch, 40 caps, 9 goals. Not too many there. And Vigendahl, who's actually gone off to Inter Milan, has played 35 times for Suriname. Interesting to see. Let's jump, a big jump this time. Take a look at how they got on. See if their world rankings changed at all and if they've managed to do any better in the World Cup or anything like that. All right, so they're 42nd in the world rankings, which is slightly better, I think, but not quite enough to knock them above Jamaica in the rankings. But they're very, very close indeed. So it'll be interesting to see how they performed in some of the competitions they were in. We can see that they have, in the competitions wise, let's jump back to where we were. So we saw them lose to Spain in that round. They got to the final of the CONCACAF Cup, losing to Mexico in 3-1 in the end. Quincy Promes getting the only goal for them after a decent run. Quincy Promes must be playing a little further forward for them now, following that. But going forward as well, we can see in the CONCACAF again, maybe did they not qualify for the World Cup in one of those years in between? Oh, I think there's one coming up. I'm an idiot. They only got to the quarterfinals in the one after, losing to Jamaica on penalties after a good few wins in the group. But you can see, and they lost in the World Cup group stage to Nigeria and Norway. Seems like a few of their players might have kind of dropped out of the team at that point, although it doesn't look like they have. So I don't quite know what's quite kind of happened there. I think but they made it to a World Cup, which isn't bad when you think about it. Let's see if we can see that group. I mean, I don't even know which group they were in, but it was the one that has them in. Yeah, there you go. So Nigeria, they weren't getting through, unfortunately. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Let's take a look at their tactic then. So they are still playing that 4-3-1-2, but they haven't got as many of their players in. They've got Van Dyke and Wijnaldum in there. Bergwijn, Gravenberch, Stengs, Marlon Cloyver are all in and around the team. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. Van Dyke, how did he get on then in the end? So He played 66 times for Suriname and got 2 goals. Obviously got them to a CONCACAF final. Not quite able to win it though, which is a shame. But he's obviously done very well for them. 35 now, playing for Liverpool. You've got Ryan Gravenberch, who's 67 caps and 20 goals. Not a bad turnaround. 25 years old, so still a few years in him, to be honest. And you've got him playing for Man United. Owen Vinjdal playing for AC Milan now, having played 63 times for Suriname. Justin Cloyver, 53 caps, 32 goals, is not a bad turnaround at all for his national team, or his new national team, having now playing for Monaco. Then we've got Calvin Stengs in there, 70 caps, 14 goals for his national team at Cologne. And then we've got Dillarossen, who actually played 18 times. We didn't really see him much in and around there, but he played 18 times for his national team. Didn't quite get the performances he maybe wanted, and is at Getafe. But there you go. So they have improved a hell of a lot. About 100 places in the world rankings if you gave them the likes of Van Dyke, Gravenberch, Wijnaldum and such. So interesting to see. I hope you enjoyed. I thought it was a bit of an interesting one. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you next time.